Welcome to Black People Love Paramore, a podcast where I explore the common and uncommon interests of Black people in order to help us feel more seen. I know I say this every episode, but I need y'all to listen, okay? I feel like y'all may have started tuning me out, so I'm trying to break it up a little bit so that y'all actually hear me. If you can take a second to go over to Apple Podcasts, if you're listening in Apple Podcasts, that should be easy, and actually write out a review for the show, that would be great. And rate it, obviously. You can rate it out of 5 stars. Ideally, you would rate it 5 stars. Spotify only gives you the option to rate out of 5 stars. You don't get to write a review. So if you could do that for both of those platforms, that would be fantastic. Ideally, you would give us 5 stars because we are 5 star bitches. Word to yo Gotti. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and all of the things. Per usual, I am your host, Sequoia, and today, joining me to chat about online dating, you might have seen him on your TikTok For You page, dating and relationship coach Anwar White. Please enjoy this episode. Coach Anwar, before we get into the fun question mark world of online dating, can you tell the folks about your podcast, your content, your coaching business?
Yeah, totally. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Of
They call me
course.
Coach Anwar. I am a dating coach for Black and Brown women, and I've been doing this work for about 14 years. I have a podcast called Get Your Guy Coaching, where we talk all things love, dating, relationships, men or women. And, I am also on TikTok. I'm well known in TikTok as Dating Coach Anwar, where I am can be considered controversial, but try to spill the tea as much as I can to help my sisters really become the women that are ready for the best relationships of their lives.
And I consume a lot of the content. It is great. Y'all really should go check it out. Tell them a little bit about the statistics degree, okay? Because we're credentialed out here for real.
We try our best. So, yeah, I think one of the things that I like to do while I am doing this dating coaching thing is, I approach it both qualitatively and quantitatively. So, the things that I say are really backed up from research and statistics. I was an undergrad statistics major and then I got my MBA as well. So, I'm always looking at the numbers here. I know that many of us are conditioned and programmed to romanticize dating and love, and that's fun and great as well. But, at the end of the day, that may not serve you. And so I want to do the things that are going to be the most efficient and effective for my ladies that are doing this dating thing.
Absolutely. And we love to see it. We love numbers back things. There's only so much arguing you can do with numbers, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I get the feelings. There's a lot of feelings, of course. In fact, it feels like people have mostly negative feelings about online dating in general. I posted to Instagram that I was recording a dating episode soon, and I asked folks send me their thoughts, feelings, everything about online dating, and I got a barrage of mostly dating is trash. I hate it here. Do you feel like dating is in fact trash? One, and also, why do you feel like people feel like it's trash?
Well, I don't necessarily think that dating is trash. I think that there are a lot of different options and a lot of different people out there that there's so many people that you're going through and engaging with and exposed to. And most of the people out there are not ready to be in a relationship. And so most of the experience is based on interacting and engaging with those people. I always say, like, it was different when you were like, in fourth grade and you had 30 people that were in your class and you liked three boys and that was it, right? Versus now, girl, you could be talking to somebody in Australia for all we know. So there's this paradox of choice that happens as well that is like, can be very overwhelming. And then, you know, one of the things that I think is really challenging in dating right now is just the fact that there are just a lot of unhealed people. And so that it can be really taxing for individuals that are experiencing all of those things, all of those different kinds of people. Dating can be fun, right? And, it takes
Mhm.
a shift in mindset. It takes certain skills to like really lean into like the flirting and being in your main character energy. And, one of the things that I love about dating so much, because I'm all about like the healing of it as well, is like, ultimately, it gives you an opportunity to heal those parts of yourself that you might not have healed in the past, especially those inner child wounds. And so
Mm-hmm.
dating, like parenting, brings up all of your ish and brings it to the surface. And you can either stop dating and not actually engage and work through it, because most people will start and stop, or you can actually work through it, heal from it, so that when you get into a relationship, those same triggers are not coming up for you.
Mm-hmm. It feels like, at least the way that I hear folks talk about it, it feels like when you're engaging with folks who are dating, maybe as a dating coach, a lot of it is therapy work, as well as like helping people find their person. It's also helping people find themselves, reconnect with the truest form of themselves, and all of that fun stuff, which really isn't that fun when you're going through it yourself, when you're having to uncover all of your deep seated childhood stuff. I get why people think it's trash. That I don't. I didn't sign up to do all that. So you think, but you really did.
Yeah. Well, like I was
Mm.
saying before, it really unravels a lot of different things that we were not familiar with. And one of the things that I think people really get harped up on is they're focused on the result, on the getting of the guy, right? And really dating is an opportunity to really get to know yourself, and it's really a self-exploration and a self-growth journey. And as you continue to focus on that, though, that is the thing that will, level you up, because you can get into a relationship tomorrow, right? You can marry any old
Yes.
body. That's not
Right.
it, right? And so
No.
I that's at least the intention that I bring out when I am working with women.
Yeah, that's not it ideally. Ideally, we don't have to do that. Coach Anwar,
Yes.
what's your most unpopular dating opinion? I feel like I think I might know what you'll
I
say
don't know.
here.
I have a lot.
You don't know? Okay,
Girl, they were coming. They've been coming for me
I know.
recently, girl. I got hit pieces, girl. They call me racist. They call me colorist. They call me
I
everything.
saw. It's
Yeah.
so rude. I've also been dragged by the internet. They just be
No, I
talking. They
mean,
just be
it
on their
is what
phone.
it is. I think there's a lot of stuff that can be very triggering for people. And, I
Mm-hmm.
honor everybody's experience. The things that I say are really, the intention is to make sure that the women that I work with are very safe ultimately, because it's dangerous out there, right? You have love bombers and
Mm-hmm.
narcissists and toxic individuals. There's a lot of unhealed individuals out there. And so I want to make sure that we're calling a spade, and we have our eyes and our hearts open, right? Many of us have a lot of walls up because we think that that is the thing that's going to protect us, but it actually hurts you more than helps you, because nobody can actually get to know who the hell you are. So I
Mm-hmm.
want women specifically to be able to approach their love lives with, an open heart, but also open eyes and ears, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of very controversial opinions. Some of them that I've been dragged on, but you know, when you look at the comment sections of those video posts, you have 90% of the women that are saying, "Here has been my experience. Thank you so much for speaking on that." And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that I focus on more than anything else.
That absolutely makes sense. My favorite unpopular opinion of yours, that I really don't think should be that unpopular, is that Black women should not only focus on dating Black men.
100%.
That is not to say that Black women should not date Black men at all. That's to say that Black men make up 12% of the United States population,
Hmm.
and it's just limiting to that pool only. And then if you have additional standards on top of that pool, it's severely limiting the dating pool there.
Yeah, most definitely. So some of the statistics around that is, if you are just dating Black men and you are focused on a guy that, let's say, has a grad degree, that makes six figures, that is over 6 feet tall, which is actually very common things on people's lists, you're looking
Yes.
at 0.07% of the population. And so when women tell me that they're having a hard time, finding a man, I know why, right? When you open up your entire net for everybody, you're going to 7x your chances of finding your person. And ultimately, there are a lot of non-Black men that are checking for Black women. And the more that we allow ourselves to be open to that, the more that you will actually experience that. I would say like a third of my clients actually get with non-black men. So it's not like I'm not here to try to get every black woman with a non-black man. That's not what I'm here to do. I just
Right.
want them to get with the best man for them.
Right. And like one third is not like an overwhelming majority, like you're out here snatching black women away from black men or something like that. It's like, yeah, just expanding the vision scope, making sure your scope of vision is just
100%.
wider than it has been before,
100%.
which is totally fine. Also, that point online when folks are like, it's hard to tell when a non-black man is interested. I totally hear that. I've never felt like a non-black man has approached me. I've listened to your content though, and I see that apparently they have. If they're talking to you longer than what do you say, like a minute or something,
If
5 minutes,
non-black men are talking to you for more than 2 to 3 minutes, they are flirting with you, right? They're just not as aggressive or assertive as, let's say, black and brown men are, right? And so it
yeah.
goes over people's heads. Like, so I always tell women, like, if his feet are pointing toward you, he's interested in you. And this is one of the ways that
Mm-hmm.
I knew who was checking for me or not. So these DL men,
Mm-hmm.
honey. But it's the same
I'm
for
leaving.
non-black men as well. And so this is something that I want black women to be cognizant of as they are out and about on these in these streets, right? That like you got a lot of people that are checking for you, but because of our experiences like in elementary school, junior high, college, high school, like where we didn't have that experience, we take that with us to our adulthood without realizing that those little boys were checking for us as well back then, but they just didn't have the cojones to step outside of their friend groups and spit game to you.
All right, let's take a break. Okay, can I tell you my wildest dating story?
Sure.
I have two options though. The wildest dating story of a man I met online or a man that I met in real life. Which one
Whatever's the most
would you prefer to
entertaining.
hear?
Whatever is the one that's
Okay.
going to make me gag the most.
Okay, let's go with the one I met in real life then. I met this man at work, right? He was a man, he was like fine. He was like a brown skinned man with light eyes. Mistake number one. He wasn't even like eating like that. It wasn't like he was like the most attractive man ever. He was just had light eyes. He was nice, whatever. We shared music in common. He was like, I would like to take you out on a date. It's like, okay, sure. Let's see how this goes. We go out on the date. He picks me up in this car that I've never seen. We work at the same workplace. So I've seen his car. This is not his car. This is like a putt putt, a raggedy, like very putt putt type car. He picks me up, get in the car. It's a stick shift. It's clear this man doesn't jive stick shift at all. He's struggling the
Mm-hmm.
entire time. Car stalling, shifting gears, everything's bad. He doesn't tell me where we're going. It's a surprise. We go to K1 Speed. Have you heard of K1 Speed? It's a like a racetrack.
Uh-huh.
Like you do like race car
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We go. You have to sign up for a specific session time. He
Mm-hmm.
signs us up for the specific session time, but then he gets a phone call and he steps away for maybe 30-ish minutes. We end up missing our session time. So we missed the race that we were supposed to go. I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. He comes back and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was my sister, like just having some family issues. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope everything is okay. He's like, yeah, no, everything's fine. We sign up for another session. It happens again. He goes for another 30, 45 minutes, disappears. I'm like, okay, this is weird. He comes back and he's like, I'm so sorry. We just missed this. Can we just go to the restaurant instead? Because we had plans to go eat afterward. He takes me to this restaurant. It's also like a hole in the wall burger spot. It's not like a fine dining experience by any capacity. We sit down at the restaurant. His phone is going off, just
Mm-hmm.
nonstop buzz, 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 buzz. I'm like, I think you should answer your phone. He's like, no, no, no. It's just my sister. Again, I want to be present with you. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, Coach Anwar.
What?
One of the servers at the restaurant comes over to us. and says, "Sir, are you insert his name here?" She's like, "You have a phone call um, in the back." Whoever was calling his phone called the restaurant we were at to speak to this man. He gets up, he takes a phone call. He's gone for another like 30 minutes. In the
Girl,
meantime,
why
I'm
are
on my
you
phone.
staying, girl?
He
You
drove. I
literally
don't
have
have a
been
damn car.
alone for an hour and a half.
At least he goes and takes a phone call. I get on my phone. This is in like 2016. So Facebook is still like a thing a little bit. I look at my Facebook. I have a message from a someone who doesn't follow me, someone I don't recognize. It's in like that folder that's far away, whatever. I find it and it's like, "Hey girl, I know that you're out on a date with so and so right now. That's my man. He's literally taking you on a date in my car with my
Oh
money
my
while I'm
gosh.
studying abroad in London. I literally left 2 days ago, and this is what he does." Da, 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 da.
Oh, what
I'm
did you
like,
do?
I didn't respond. I didn't respond to her message. I still have it on my phone to this
Oh
day.
my
Never responded.
gosh.
He comes back and I just want to see what he's gonna say. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm like, I don't want to say anything. I'm like, so what are you gonna possibly say as the excuse now? He's like, "I'm so sorry. Again, my sister." I said, "Listen, let's just stop. Let's cut it. It's not your sister. It's your ex. My only thing is, should I be worried? Is someone going to come on her behalf into this restaurant right now if she knows where you are? Do I need to be prepared for anything to pop off? I'm scared." He's like, "No, she's my ex girlfriend, actually. And she knows that I have a crush on you. So she knows that this is a problem. She feels intimidated by you and I's connection, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah." Anyways, we go home. I never speak to him again at work. We pass each other, act like we've never seen each other. And now they're married all these years later. Him and
Shade.
his quote unquote ex are
Shade.
married. So it was ridiculous. I can't believe I sat there for that long. But I have a habit of doing that. I've done that a couple of times on dates. Sat there for longer than I needed to have sat there.
That is crazy, girl. Can I just tell everyone that's listening, please don't be afraid to step out of a date that is not serving you. Some of these girls are
Yeah.
trying to be cute and mute and polite. Do not be polite. Like, if you're not feeling good, you're going to have to excuse yourself.
Is there any particular red flag on a first date that you're like, watch out for that one?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I am a little bit of a different kind of dating coach. So I'm not someone who you'll never hear like red or green flags from me because I am someone that's of the mindset that like everyone's going to have a different experience based on their lived experiences. And so what I want everyone to think about is not like what's happening outside of me and what this guy is doing. I really want us to focus on what's coming up for you, your intuition and your feelings, right? So for example,
Mm-hmm.
some guy, talking about his work all the time might be a trigger for a woman but might not be a trigger for another woman, right? And so um, I offer that by saying like your job is to focus on yourself and how you're feeling and then move accordingly based on that. That's how I think about it more than anything else. But in terms of things that bring me pause.
Mm-hmm.
um, I one of the things that I teach my clients is having a lot of boundaries, and so you want to be setting a lot of boundaries throughout the courtship phase. So if someone is late, if someone doesn't tip, if someone doesn't pay, if someone if they're not opening doors, right? The other thing is, like for a first date, I'm someone who is all about something really chill for the first date. So
Mm-hmm.
ice cream, coffee, tea, milkshakes, even like a nice walk in the park or what have you. Like, and so, I think people that want to pull out the red carpet for you, that gives me pause because they don't know you enough
Mm.
to invest in you. Right. And so a
Mm.
lot of toxic and narcissistic people will do that so that two things. One, you start to evaluate the date versus the dater. And two, you like are in their web, right? You already feel like you're taken care of and they're playing this fantasy role that is oftentimes conditioned and programmed for a lot of women that watch rom-coms and Disney and all of that. And so
Yeah.
please understand, and this is a kind of just like a highlight, especially for the ladies that are looking for men who are stable and rich and wealthy, that like rich and wealthy men won't invest in things that don't have an ROI. So they're more likely to actually have a very chill first date and figure out if they want to invest in you or not versus guys that are just going to invest in you. It's actually not a smart investment decision, right? And so that's something to think about as you are engaging in some of these dates. Yeah.
That totally makes sense. I get that. And about the narcissism piece, I was listening to another podcast, Diary of a CEO, and there was a narcissism expert on there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember her exact title, but she was mentioning she's been studying it for like 20, 25 years or something, narcissism specifically. And she was mentioning that she feels like narcissism is underreported and that it's actually closer to 1 in 6 people who is a narcissist to some degree. And in cities like Los Angeles and New York, that number will be higher even. And that really stuck with me. So, what you said about that tending to be more of a narcissist thing to take you out on all the stops just so you focus on the date and not the dater, that's a really good point. I really hope that that sticks for some folks because I feel like I hear a lot of discourse on that online right now, especially within the uh black men gathered around a microphone space. I struggle to call that the podcasting space, but within that space there's lots of talks about $200 dates and yada yada yada. Just keep that in mind, y'all.
Yeah.
When we're dating, just keep that in
Here's the
mind.
thing. You get to date however you want to date. And, you know, that woman is a great expert, but those numbers are probably higher in the Black community just because
Ooh.
narcissism comes from trauma, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize that there's a lot of trauma in our community and in our lived experience. And so one of the things that I get a lot of pushback for when I talk about coffee dates is I have a lot of Black women that are telling me I'm not getting dolled up for da 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 da. And one of the things that I try to point out is that many of us grow up in households where our our parents were working a lot. And so
Mm-hmm.
they weren't home to have a lot of quality time with us. And so they would actually compensate for that by buying us gifts, right? That's why many of them would go
Mm-hmm.
hard on our birthdays and go hard on Christmas. And so a lot of us tend to equate love with spending money, right? And there are
Mm-hmm.
other ways to evaluate that. I'm not saying that that's not it, but there are a variety of ways to create intimacy and share an expression of love. And so I think it's important when you are kind of experiencing that. And also, there are a lot of Black women that need to evaluate whether someone is literally a homosexual or not. And so they will try to have some of these dates so that we figure out, is this man impoverished or is he actually stable, right? So
Is he looking for a home?
I get why that is happening, but I think having a phone date before you go out will help you quite a bit. But I also think having that like very chill one-on-one time to have a conversation will also help you evaluate, is this someone that I can align with? Is this someone that I have a good time with, that I want to get to know more than anything
Mm-hmm.
else? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guys that are rich and wealthy, they don't show it off, right? They don't
That part,
they're
certainly that.
they're they're the ones that are driving the Fords and the Toyotas and the Hondas. They're
Mm-hmm.
not many of them aren't necessarily driving the Mercedes, Porsche or BMWs, right? And so
Top dating profile mistakes. One of my favorite things that you have said is like I think black and white photos get 25% more swipes,
107% more likes.
107% more likes,
Hmm.
which is a very interesting thing. It just feels so counterintuitive to me because it's like, oh, that feels so MySpace 2006. I don't know. That's such an interesting statistic, which is why it's so important to lean on the statistics of stuff. Are there other notes like that that you have for a dating profile, or is that like the primary one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of online profiles, no bathing suits. No,
Oh.
no duck lips. You always want to smile with teeth. Warmth
Mhm.
always trumps sexy, right? If you want to be sexy, that's up to you. But please understand, you're going to attract the wolves, and there's a lot of wolves out there. Actually, you're going to attract the hyenas, right? Very Lion
Don't want
King
them.
esque.
Yeah.
So pictures are very important, right? And you also want to make sure that you don't have just 6 pictures of you traveling, because that actually doesn't represent your everyday life. And when a guy is looking at your profile, he's trying to envision himself in your life and see if it fits or not. So you want a
Mhm.
picture at home. You want a picture, out at a restaurant. You want a picture with a hobby, or a passion of yours, right? And maybe one travel picture. Okay.
Mhm.
Obviously, a body picture. We got to know what it looks like, right?
What do you look like?
And
Yeah.
so make sure that is there as well. So that's really for the pictures. In terms of the actual profile and text, one of the things I see often is that people will like just make lists, right? And bullet points. Don't do
Yeah.
that. That actually doesn't tell me anything about you.
Yeah.
You always want to give details. So if you say you're a music lover, tell me what kind of music. Tell me who your favorite musician is and why, right? You always,
Mhm.
whether that it's in your profile or in like the prompts on Bumble or Hinge, you always want to answer the why and not just the what. Don't just tell me that your love language is, acts of service, but tell me why that is important to you. This will give
Mhm.
someone an indication of who you are and what matters to you, and those are like the deeper things that people can be intrigued about and align with.
That feels like a good communication skill to have overall. Even you could probably take that into real life, into the actual date with you. You want to answer the why and not just the what. So, someone asks how you're feeling. Good is an answer, but a better answer is I'm feeling really excited to be on this date
100%.
because blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a good note overall. There's a lot of online discourse about icks. I hear it from all genders, all sides, all sexualities, all orientations. You work with a lot of folks. Are there common icks that you hear coming up time and time again?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, right? So I think just like in the online space or dating in general.
And dating in general. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's start with online. A guy with
okay.
his shirt off, that's an ick. A guy that
Definitely.
is asking for pics, that's an ick, right?
Big ick.
I always
God.
tell ladies like he's a prisoner, right? Right. That's what prisoners do. He's in the military, girl. He needs a picture to do whatever he needs to do with it and go with there.
No.
Don't
No.
give them pictures. No. Well, you're saying no. I'm telling you that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
So this is why you don't want to get pics. You want to set boundaries about what you feel comfortable doing. I also
Yeah.
say like someone that's asking for your social media very quickly. A lot of people will go back and forth with that. I actually think that that's a lot of access to give someone that you don't know.
That's
So
super
I
fair.
actually think that giving people your social after date 2, date 3 makes sense. But before you even met somebody, no, you got family, you got friends, you got places you've been, you have locations, you have a lot of different things there. So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you are keeping that to yourself until this man has invested in you and you've been able to evaluate him. I think icks are guys asking where you're located and if you live alone. I think those are icks that I get a lot. I also get people telling me that guys that ask women to call them, or
Ew.
guys that are like saying things like, yeah, just like let me know instead of actually planning and doing things. That's an ick. That's why
Ew.
it's important to have these sort
Yes.
of like boundaries around like what is acceptable or not, right?
Yes. I have friends who, even early on, when they're interacting with somebody on this dating app for the first time, they're already having to draw the conversation out of that person. Like they'll ask an open ended question, and the person will give a closed answer, and that's it, not ask a question back, nothing like that. And the cycle will go as that. I feel like that's an early indicator of how things will be in that relationship or with that connection. But the pushback that I get to that feedback when I give my friends that feedback is, no, I just don't think I've asked them a question that draws them out yet. I don't think I've
Mm-mm.
asked them a question about something that they're passionate about yet.
That's not your responsibility, right? I
Right.
tell my clients all the time, these guys they're one and done. So if they don't ask you a question, you just answer it. You don't ask a question back. It's their responsibility, if they're interested, to drive conversation, to ask questions, and to move the conversation forward. So 80-90% of the guys won't be able to do that, but also 80-90% of the guys are not ready to be in a relationship and are
Hate to
emotionally
see it.
avoidant. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not missing anything. You don't want to be doing excess labor as a woman, and as a woman of color, you're already doing so much labor to begin with. This is an area where you don't want to do any labor, which I just want to offer that this is a very big lesson for especially Black women who have been told all of their lives that they have to work twice as hard to get half of anything. It's actually the opposite in love. You have to work half as hard to get twice the results. And it feels very counterintuitive because that's just like
Mm-hmm.
not how we're brought up. But like many Black women specifically are doing so much work that um, they're actually like tricking themselves into thinking that they have tighter connections with people. So, for example, if you're reaching out, if you're texting, if you're calling a guy, if you're making plans, the result is that you're hanging out with this guy. So, in your brain, you're thinking, oh my God, we're moving along, we're progressing. But all of those things wouldn't have necessarily happened if you didn't do the work and you didn't initiate and you didn't reach out. So, you actually want to do nothing for two reasons. One, to create space for him to be in his masculine and to pursue and to initiate, right? That's one. Two, there's this thing called the kind of IKEA effect, right? Which is like, in IKEA, you build your own furniture. So you're actually more connected to that furniture. And that's why it's hard to let some of those
Mm.
pieces go. When you
Mm.
interact and you invest in these men, you're going to be more connected to them and more attached to them, even if they haven't done anything, right? And you want to be able to control your attachment pacing when it comes to courtships.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I feel like I can extrapolate that even beyond dating to friendships as well. Like, that just makes up, wow, okay. I'm gonna have to talk to my personal therapist about that one. Thank you very much, Coach Anwar. We
Uh-huh.
have a listener submitted question.
Okay.
They say, what to do when you're feeling uninspired to date, but still have the desire to date?
So the question is, what does desire mean, right? Does it mean that you just want to have somebody? Because what I'm hearing is, I want to feel connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I would say is I would focus on connection in a lot of other relationships that you have, family ships, friendships, even like working relationships, so that you can feel more connected. Because if you're not inspired to date, if you don't want to do it, you're not going to get great results because you're going to come with a like half-ass energy, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have a you're going to come with energy that isn't going to be light and flowing and open and fun and flirty, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
required to have success in your dating life. Instead, you're going to treat
Yeah.
it like a job. And, none of us are coming into our work smiling and happy go lucky for the most part. So, that's not going to work. So that's why I'm saying, like, you want to get to a place where one, you already feel fully connected. So you're not thirsty for the connection in dating. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Two, that also means that you might have to take a step back and, take a month to really like cultivate those relationships a bit more, but also the relationship with yourself, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you wanna feel like your life is full, and not from like a avoidant perspective, but just like feeling very satisfied with your life. So that if you meet a person, it doesn't really matter. Like you can take it or leave it. That's where you want to get to when it comes to dating. And I know it sounds really weird, but when I hear my clients saying, yeah, I don't really care if I meet a guy or not, I know that they're close to meeting a guy because they
Oh,
haven't put the
nice.
pressure on themselves. And they like, what that means is that they're not going to get triggered because they're not taking it as seriously and they've dissociated from the result. And they're just like, I'm just here to have fun and make a connection. I know that when we're there, it's like a month or two before they're going to like really connect and find their person. That's been my experience as a dating coach for 14 years.
I'm going to mention a dating app. And can you give me the first word that pops into your
Oh,
head for the
Lord.
app? So it can be the type of person that you think will be
Okay.
on the app or whatever you can expect to find on the app. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
eHarmony.
White church.
Okay. Okay, Cupid.
Uber, liberal, quirky, nerdy, dorky, open, tolerant.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. Grinder.
Gay, 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 gay sex, gay sex, gay sex.
Okay. Tinder.
Straight sex, straight sex, straight sex.
I thought that might be how that went.
Uh-huh.
Hinge.
Unethical, racist.
Ooh.
Um, Hinge is like that white boy in fifth grade that you had a crush on but didn't like you.
Oh, I was not expecting that Hinge tea at all. I certainly thought you were going to be like, "Oh yeah, the best one, the one to go to find."
Hinge was definitely great in the pandemic in 2020, 2021. That's where most of my clients were getting their guys. Within new management, they have started to, hide some of the higher quality profiles behind a paywall. That's number one. And number two, the thing that is happening most recently is that there are a lot of Black women that are actually putting on their profile that they're white or Asian and getting higher
I've heard of
quality
that.
matches and profiles, right? And so,
So this is real.
yeah, so
Wow.
I have been anti-Hinge for about 2 years now.
Wow. Okay. I just this week had a friend mention that a friend of theirs had changed their ethnicity on Hinge to white,
Hmm.
and they started getting just way more matches even from, Black men. I think they were looking for Black men specifically. They just started getting more matches for everybody. That's I thought that that was a fluke. I didn't know that that was like a trend of people doing things.
100%.
Okay. Moving on.
Mhm.
Bumble.
Tech bros, um, alphabet men, which isn't a bad thing. It means men that are kind of both alpha and beta, like kind of. And right now, like Bumble is the place where most of my clients are, right? I would
Mm-hmm.
say like 2/3 of my clients probably, if they do get their guy online, it's from Bumble. Um, I think that, um, but also a lot of unserious men on there. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can like 20 guys and you'll probably get a response from 2 to 4 of them.
Ew. That sounds horrible. That oh god. How does that not feel like rejection? I guess
Some
is my
people can
question.
take it as rejection, but one of the things that I tell my clients all the time is like, you're gonna have to have 100 conversations. Like this is also very much a numbers situation. Like 97% of the guys out there, you won't even have a third date with. And so this is
Hmm.
part of the dating game. You don't want to be a match for everybody. You
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
um it depends on, again, your lived experience, but I always tell women like, these men don't know you enough to reject you. So the way that I reframe
Okay.
this is, you have to think about your person out there and realize that he is praying and hoping that you don't match with any of these guys.
Oh, that is a really good reframing. I love that. We just have three more apps.
Okay.
Raya.
Noah.
No. Okay. Bless you, give me.
Um, Raya is full of DJs and like celebrities, and they're not taking Black women seriously on that app.
Um, I hate an app that's not taking Black women seriously. That's never gonna work.
It's just,
Speaking of Black women,
yeah.
Black people meet.
Um, um, Black People Meet gives me Black Planet.
Okay. Okay. So we're not
The
on Black
girls who
People Meet.
know.
Okay. We'll leave it. We'll leave it there. And then the last one, The League.
Same with Raya. Like if you
Okay.
ever went to a PWI or an Ivy League institution, I have quite a bit. You understand what that looks like. Meaning, like they'll interact and they'll engage with you, but they probably won't take you home to mom.
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Like,
That doesn't sound fun.
yeah, I mean, you can have fun with them, you can hang out with them while you're in school and all of that, but the probability that they will marry you is fairly low. So I never tell my clients to go in the league, and they never really
Okay,
get results when they do.
that's when I hear about the least. I feel I know The League mostly from Insecure when Molly tried to get on The League, and that didn't work out for her either. Final question for you, Coach Anwar.
Yes.
If you could only give people one piece of dating
Oh
advice for
God,
online dating
girl.
or IRL dating, what one piece of advice would you hope everyone would listen to?
I think that dating is dating. And what that means is that this is about collecting data for yourself, and about other people. And ultimately, we have to be able to use that data to heal ourselves. None of this matters unless you are healing yourself. And one of the things that I know for sure is for all of the shit that comes up while you're dating, it is 10 times worse when you get into a relationship. So this dating thing is the minor leagues. And you have to heal all of that stuff if you want to get into the best, most successful relationship of your life. Because anytime you get triggered and you're in a relationship, because these are people that you actually give a damn about and care about, and you're not healed, you're going to create disconnection and you're going to break up the relationship. So please use this data to heal yourself.
That's it for our show today. Coach Anwar, please let the folks know where they can find you online or any projects you would like to tell the folks about.
Yeah. So I'm at Dating Coach Anwar, whether that's on TikTok, YouTube, IG. If you are interested in learning more about what I do, you can definitely go to my website, getyourguycoaching.com. And it's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for coming on. This really has been fantastic. For those of you who want to check us out on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/@blackpeopleloveparamore. The link will be in the show notes. If you have comments, suggestions, hate mail, or anything else for me, you can hit me at blackpeopleloveparamore@gmail.com or across all social media platforms at BPLP Pod. You can support this show and other wonderful Maximum Fun shows at MaximumFun.org/join. Our editor is Genrio Lagat. Our producer is Palmira Muniz, and I am your host, Sequoia Holmes. This has been a production of Maximum Fun.
And I'm Anwar White.
Period.